Hey guys, this is Miss Russum. If you're in my lit class, then this is your second video of the day. The first being just kind of a overview of what we were doing today. This is going to be a more in-depth look and introductory into Romeo and Juliet and this guy right here, Mr. William Shakespeare. This is another one of those texts like To Kill a Mockingbird that you could probably ask your mom or your grandparents or your aunt and uncle, or even your older brother and sister if they have heard of or read, because William Shakespeare is arguably one of the most well-read, most taught authors of all time. If they haven't read Romeo and Juliet, then maybe they've read Hamlet or Macbeth or Othello or one of his many other plays. William Shakespeare was an English poet, so he came from England. He was a playwright, and he was even an actor during the Renaissance era. So when is the Renaissance? He was popular during 1594 and onward. Okay, so this is before the United States. This is before your maybe even great-great-grandparents were even thought of, okay? This is before any type of modern thing that you can think of, okay? But we still teach Shakespeare and we still read Shakespeare because his writings really capture the range of human emotion and conflict. They've been celebrated for more than 400 years, and there's a reason for that. You know, he has tragedies, he has comedies, he has poems. He celebrates really universal themes like love and loss and war and heartache and all of these things that we're still experiencing today. I read this thing online, and I couldn't tell you if it was true or not, but Shakespeare wrote a play during the bubonic plague. You know, what have we been doing during our pandemic? You know, we're still reading Shakespeare. So there's something to be said about how popular this guy is and how popular he still remains today. I took a whole class on him in college. And you might too if you decide to major in the humanities, but I digress. So Romeo and Juliet. It would have been performed in a theater much like this. This is the Globe Theater. This is still in England today. Now, the first one did burn down. It burned down in, let me look at my notes here. (1642). But it was rebuilt in 1997, so before any of you guys were born, and different plays are still held here today. I'd love to go see a play in the Globe. So the inside would look like this, okay? The sets are minimal. There's standing room. The actors come right out into the crowd. There's even some balcony scenes here, and it's even open to the sky, okay? And this is how it would have been when Shakespeare was around. So this is very, an interesting type of play. If you ever get to see a play in the Shakespeare Tavern in Atlanta, here, we'll go there for just a second. They do plays all the time, and this is very local, and it looks kind of like the outside of the Globe. So how cool is that? This is in Atlanta if you've ever driven by. And they put on plays all the time. And the stage looks like that. So it looks like the Globe, just from the outside. So this is how popular it is, and that's in your own backyard. That's in Atlanta. So going back. Now, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy, okay? So by tragedy, we know something bad is going to happen, okay? It's written by Shakespeare early in his career about two young star-crossed lovers. Now, you may say, why am I reading this, Miss Russum? This book is super old play. But I will tell you, Juliet's supposed to be like 13 or 14 and Romeo is 16. Okay, so these are two young kids who are making decisions that are going to impact the rest of their lives, just like you guys may be doing now. Now we know that they both die because it says it in the prologue, which we will get there. So no spoilers here. It's just a known fact. Romeo and Juliet are going to die. They tell you in the first part of the play. It is Shakespeare, one of Shakespeare's most popular work. Arguably Hamlet could be as well, but Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet are two of the most popular. Today, the characters and the title are regarded as archetypal young lovers. Now, what is an archetype? It's something that stands for like a broad generalization. So you even hear now like a Romeo, a boy or a man or even a girl who is love struck, then he's a Romeo. Okay. Here's some more pictures of people acting out Romeo and Juliet. This is a super popular version of Romeo and Juliet. You might be able to find it online. And the great thing about Shakespeare is there's a lot of diversity. Women play male characters, male play female characters. In fact, when Shakespeare was writing Romeo and Juliet, Juliet would have been exclusively played by a male. So that is something to think about. Now, our list of characters here. The important part of Romeo and Juliet is it takes place with two feuding families. The lovers are even called star-crossed lovers. Their families are locked in an age-old, bitter feud. So you have Romeo, a Montague, and Juliet, a Capulet. And they're going to fall in love and they're going to want to be together, but their families have been feuding for years and years and years, so long that people don't remember, what the feud was about. So you can think about how that's going to affect them. If they are in love, but they're not allowed to see each other, they're not allowed to be with each other because their families will disapprove, then that's going to cause them to make rash decisions. So there's going to be a lot of misfortune and accidents, and everything's going to go wrong for these two because of their family's opinions. And a lot of you might be able to relate to that. Like maybe your mom doesn't like your boyfriend, or you feel like your family misunderstands you. Well, this is the ultimate story of families not understanding. Now you see Capulet and Montague are actually male people who are the head of your family, okay? So this would be Juliet's father, Capulet, and then Lady Capulet is his wife and Juliet's mother. Juliet has a nurse who's going to play a huge part. Tybalt is her cousin. Paris is somebody who also wants to marry her. And then we get into the Montagues, okay? So we also have a Montague. We have Sir Montague. That's Romeo's father. Lady Montague is Romeo's mother. Mercutio and Benvolio are Romeo's kind of just, friends. And then we have a few other people. These neutral people, Friar Lawrence is going to play a huge part. The prince is a real prince, like he's a prince of the town. And then Friar Lawrence. Let's look at the prologue. Now, we are going to be reading the No Fear Shakespeare version of this. Okay? So on one side we have the original text. Now the original text is daunting to even me. Okay? I don't want to spend all of my time going through here and trying to figure things out when I can read a modern updated version of the text. Okay? So make sure that you're reading the modern text side. If you go through the table of contents, then you have an Act 1, Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3, Scene 4, and so on and so forth. Then you have Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, and this will be an easy way for you to read the play. So acts are kind of like chapters, and then there's scenes within each chapter. So when I say you have a quiz on Act 1 on Friday, it's really just the length of a chapter. Okay? So let's look at the prologue real quick. I won't play a lot of it. Okay, so this is a play. You know, it's meant to be acted out. It's meant to be watched. If we were, like I said, if we were in class together, we would be acting it out because it's meant to be acted out. It's meant to be watched on a stage, and I will be sending you clips that you can watch when we go through it. Let's look at the text together really quickly. The prologue is kind of the beginning, okay? Or it is the beginning, rather. And you can follow along with your questions. So if you look here, it says prologue. What city does the scene take place? And then why are Romeo and Juliet called star-crossed lovers? It tells you at the very beginning what's going to happen in this play. And you can say it's a spoiler, or you can say, you know, it ruins it or whatever. But really, Shakespeare's being really upfront with you guys. This is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to read about. It's definitely an interesting way to start a story, to already know what's going to happen. So let's pick it apart a little bit. In the beautiful city of Verona, Italy. So our story takes place in Verona. A long-standing hatred between two families erupts into new violence, and citizens stain their hands with the blood of their fellow citizens. So this is talking about that conflict between Capulet and Montague. Okay, we have Capulets and we have Montagues. Then it's going to tell us exactly what happens. Two unlucky children, that's Romeo and Juliet, of these enemy families become lovers and commit suicide. That's why they're star-crossed. Have you ever heard of fate? Maybe or even that old phrase, like everything happens for a reason. This is what star-crossed is, okay? That's fate. They can't control it. But they do eventually commit suicide. Now, it's kind of a weird, twisted plot, and it says their unfortunate deaths will put an end to their parents' feud, but it'll be too late. We know they're going to die. And then it even tells you, for the next 2 hours, we will watch the story of their doomed love and their parents' anger, which nothing but the children's death could stop. If you listen to us patiently, we will make up for everything we've left out on this prologue on stage. So now we know what's going to happen. And you'll keep reading. Act 1, Scene 1. Just go in order. And read more about how Romeo and Juliet fall in love. Now, I will keep doing these videos with Romeo and Juliet because I do think that, you know, it's going to take a little bit more effort for you to read than To Kill a Mockingbird. So we'll let the prologue take us out here. Alright guys, I hope that got you a little excited to read Romeo and Juliet. I'm excited to go through it with you guys. If you're in my class, if you look on Edmodo tomorrow, my second block will be Zooming at 11, and then my third and fourth will Zoom at 12. So make sure you have some questions to ask me. Try to get through Act 1 of Romeo and Juliet so that we can talk about it. Your quiz will be on Friday. Let me know if you have any questions. You can reach me in all of the usual ways.